Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Molly.
Molly was just being a sinner and showing me drugs.
I didn't know we started recording. Now I was showing you a Groupon I found about a marijuana grow course that's on sale for $9 right now. I just thought it was funny. Anyways, back to business.
Yeah, before Molly tries to tempt me with any more marijuana. I don't want to be poisoned by the marijuana.
I was just looking at activities to do. I'm sorry.
And those activities include weed?
No, that was just one that popped up.
Okay. Anyways, we're going to be talking about Rise of the Planet of the Apes. The first in the rebooted Planet of the Apes trilogy from Fox, now Disney. I'm not sure why I'm specifying that part, but you know what? Who knows?
Who knows? I don't know.
This first movie was directed by Rupert Wyatt and written by Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver. And starring in it is James Franco as Will Rodman, a scientist working to try to cure Alzheimer's. Andy Serkis plays Caesar, the future leader of the ape resistance, and probably his best performance to date, in my opinion.
Yeah, he plays a chimpanzee. The chimpanzee.
Yes, he does. Karen Conoval plays Maurice, an orangutan that Caesar meets when he gets locked up in ape jail.
Yeah, pretty cool. I like Maurice a lot.
Terry Notary plays Rocket and Bright Eyes. Bright Eyes being Caesar's mother, and Rocket being a rival turned ally he meets in ape jail.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Richard Ridings plays Buck, a gorilla that Caesar meets and befriends while in ape jail.
Yes, lots of apes in ape jail.
Christopher Gordon plays Koba, a ape who will cause a whole bunch of problems in the future.
Oh yeah, just you wait.
Frida Pinto plays Caroline, a veterinarian that Will... she's the love interest of Will, basically. John Lithgow plays Charles, Will's father, who is struggling with Alzheimer's, who gets cured for it for a brief amount of time, but then eventually relapses back to it.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Which, is why Will wants to work so hard to cure Alzheimer's, is because, his dad has it.
Brian Cox and Tom Felton play John and Dodge Landon, respectively, the proprietors of Ape Jail.
Yeah, they're kind of the mean boys.
And David Oyelowo plays Stephen Jacobs, Will's boss, and essentially the main bad guy of this movie.
Yeah.
So, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Now, this was the first Planet of the Apes movie that was released since the Tim Burton remake. Because of that movie, not a whole lot of people had very much faith in this one, but lo and behold, we ended up getting not just a pretty good reboot, but a pretty good reboot trilogy as well.
Yeah, with the fourth one on the way.
Yeah. It says a lot about this trilogy that this first one, Rise, is probably the weakest of the trilogy, and it's still a really good movie.
Yeah, it is pretty good. Seeing how, the start of this disease that's gonna, wipe out the humans, and seeing the apes, the start of their intelligence starting to take off, it's pretty cool.
So basically, Caesar's mother, Bright Eyes, is she's the first test subject of this new Alzheimer's drug, and one day she goes crazy right before a demonstration to the board, and she needs to get put down. We see all the apes are ordered to be put down, basically, except for Caesar, who is a little baby ape. And for some reason, nobody knew that Bright Eyes was pregnant. That seems a bit weird.
Yeah, especially if they're monitoring her so closely. I thought that was weird, too.
Yeah, like they're checking her vitals all the time. She's directly in their line of sight. I mean, yes, she hid it underneath her bed or whatever, but still, you would think that someone would notice something. I mean, we have all sorts of ape doctors and stuff in this lab. Did not one of them know the signs of ape pregnancy?
Yeah, I guess you could argue that maybe the testing stuff could have masked it, but I mean, still, yeah, you would think if she's being supervised so closely.
Anyway, so Caesar, as a result, is born with the ALZ 112 in his body, so he's already out the womb and a very intelligent ape, which chimpanzees are already pretty smart to begin with. They are one of the most intelligent, and by that same token, one of the most dangerous animals on the planet.
Oh yes, I know. I've read Jane Goodall's book.
They are. Well, there's a reason why when they get loose in zoos, there's a shoot to kill order on them. You do not want to see what happens when a chimp decides it wants to mess up someone.
Yeah, I mean, they're very strong, and humans, without any weapons are not quite as strong.
A couple years ago, I mentioned the Travis the Chimp incident when we were talking about the movie Nope, and looking back, I may have accidentally implied that Travis's victim was the one to blame. She was not at all. It was Travis's owner that was to blame for that, not Charla Nash. Just want to put that out there.
I don't even remember what you said. I don't even know how you remember, so...
Anyways.
It's fine. No one remembers.
Probably not. Anyways, yeah, just look at incidents like that or other such chimp attacks. It's not a pretty picture.
No. Yeah.
But anyways, how's the story on this? It's pretty good. Like we said, this is mostly Caesar coming to grips with his own intelligence, and there's an underlying theme of human nature versus animal nature in this movie. The apes, as they get smarter, develop more human characteristics, and they're becoming more intelligent, yes, but they're also becoming more violent and willing to do whatever it takes to get that freedom.
Yeah, and it kind of shows that maybe humans and apes aren't quite that different after all.
No, not at all. Especially since chimpanzees are our closest animal relative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I think says a lot during this movie that's, about chimps.
Okay. And I feel like this just well another aspect of this movie that I didn't really care for, which also makes it the my least favorite, is the human characters aren't the most interesting.
No, but to be fair, I don't remember any human characters from these movies.
I mean, you got Will, who is decent enough. I mean, I'm not going to say he's a great character or anything, but he's likable enough, despite being played by James Franco.
Yeah, I mean, his motivation is simple. He wants to help cure his dad. And then, he finds Caesar as a baby, and he wants to make sure, Caesar is growing up to be a good chimp. So, it's perfectly fine.
I don't really care for his romance with his girlfriend. She didn't really seem too interesting to me. His relationship with his father, when I first saw this movie, I didn't really care for this in too much, because I mean, honestly, I just really didn't appreciate it very much. But now, with seeing my own grandfather suffer with his own Alzheimer's, really it really hits different. Maybe that's a little bit selfish of me, but whatever. This is just the road it took to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have that problem in their lives, or someone who is affected by it. So, yeah.
The human villains are kind of cliche. I mean, you got your standard animal abusers and your greedy corporate guy who only cares about the profits that these apes and or medicine can bring. So they're not really too interesting. It's not until the next movie where we get an actually good villain in these movies, and not until the third one until we get a really good human villain.
Yeah, I agree with you. The characters in this movie were a bit cliche, like you said. Very, I mean, you expect everything they do. No surprises with the humans, so yeah.
Now, did you know that John Lithgow can actually play the piano?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so he was actually doing that for real on screen.
Very interesting.
Originally, Tobey Maguire was intended for James Franco's role.
I'd watch that, yeah.
Yeah, that'd been interesting. They couldn't get Peter Parker, so they had to settle for Harry Osborn.
I guess so, yep.
Will was actually intended to die in this movie, but test audiences reacted negatively to that, so the studio decided to let him live. Although the sequel reveals that in between movies he died due to the simian flu, which was created in this movie when Koba accidentally infects one of the lab assistants with the LZ-113. It's a new Alzheimer's drug that they're trying to develop, and he accidentally spreads it to one of Will's neighbors. He's this pilot who's a real dickhead. He's partially responsible for Caesar getting locked up in ape jail, though to be honest, I don't 100% blame him for that, though, because I mean, he was getting attacked by a chimp. I'd probably freak out too.
Yeah, if me and my kids were living next door to a chimpanzee, I would want that. I would want, I wouldn't like that.
Although the main problem that got Caesar attacking him had nothing to do with, ape problems or something. It's because Will's dad accidentally backed into his car because he has Alzheimer's and he forgets what's what, and then he just starts being an absolute douche nozzle to this poor old man. And to Caesar, this is basically his grandpa. So what do you expect him to do?
Yeah, he was just protecting.
So on the one hand, yes, he is in the right for being upset about Caesar, but on the other hand, he's a dick. I don't like him. I'm glad he got his finger bitten off.
Yeah. I feel like I was going to say something.
Well, maybe it'll come back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not a surprise that we find out Will has died from the flu because it's pretty much implied that, everyone's going to die from it.
Yeah, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Now, who was your favorite character in this movie?
I guess I'll go with Caesar.
Yeah, me too.
Because he's a cool, smart chimpanzee, and he was a really cute baby chimpanzee. So
You were just like your mom. If there's a cute animal in it, then that's going to be your favorite.
Well, yeah, of course. Duh.
Yeah, I'd agree with you too. He's a very interesting and well-rounded character, and I love seeing his arc throughout this trilogy.
Yeah. Grows a lot.
Now, next we have the sequel, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and we have another instance of a sequel being superior to the original.
We'll have to watch it because it's been a while, so let's watch it.
Yeah, we're about to do that.
Okay, let's go.
So, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is the second in the Planet of the Apes reboot trilogy from Fox. And this is my favorite in the trilogy.
Oh, it's your favorite? I'm going to have to rewatch the last one until I make my decision, but why is it your favorite?
Well, I just like the story better in this one than I do the others.
That makes sense. I'll allow it.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome.
In this movie, we have Andy Serkis return as Caesar from the last movie. Here he's the leader of his own ape colony in the redwood forest of San Francisco, like we saw at the end of the last movie that they've gone to now. Our main human protagonist is Malcolm, played by Jason Clarke, and I'm not usually one for this actor, but I actually quite liked him in this movie.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't really like him either. And I can't tell you why. So it's probably, I don't know, like I told you, I think maybe he played a bad guy I didn't like, or maybe he was in a movie I didn't like, and that's why.
Terminator Genesis?
Maybe. So maybe I'm judging him too harshly, which I probably am. But yeah. But he was fine, in this movie.
Yeah, his character wasn't the most interesting. But he was definitely a lot better than Will from Rise. And I thought that Clark gave us a good performance.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it was pretty good.
Also in this movie, Gary Oldman plays Dreyfus, the leader of the human civilization, quote unquote, in San Francisco at the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Malcolm and Dreyfus both they provide a mirror image to Caesar. They're sort of his human equivalents. We have, on the one hand, we have Malcolm, who's the well-meaning, basically leader who's trying to do what's best for his people. And then you have Dreyfus, who's the more who's holding on to the more us versus them mentality that Caesar engages in at times.
You can almost say it's kind of like Caesar and Koba, but humans.
A little bit. But Koba has his own human equivalent. But this does make for another mirror image of those two.
Yeah. Somewhat, I think, yeah.
Kerry Russell plays Ellie, Malcolm's wife. She isn't really given a lot to do, but she is able to, make herself useful when she helps Caesar's wife give birth, or helps her with the complications after giving birth.
Yeah, she's kind of sickly, not doing very well, and this woman steps in and heals her, basically.
Cody Smith-McPhee plays Alexander, Malcolm's son, and again, he's not really given too much to do, but story-wise, he has a nice little thing going on with Maurice, the orangutan right-hand man of Caesar.
I'd make friends with Maurice, too, if I was in this movie.
Yeah, me too. He's the nicest of all the apes.
Yeah, I like him.
Kirk Acevedo plays Carver, the human equivalent to Koba. He's the really xenophobic human who can't stand apes at all.
Yeah, he's pretty mean. Not a very nice guy.
Unlike with Koba, though, I guess he does have a sort of a reason. It's the apes' faults that the world has gone to hell with the ALZ-113 virus.
Yeah, I guess.
He's still an asshole, though. I really don't like him, because at one point he starts making fun of Ellie's daughter for having died and all that, and it's like, and after everyone calls him out for it, he says, "Oh, so I'm the asshole." Yes, you are.
Yeah, it's like, how much of a jerk do you have to be to bring up somebody's dead daughter?
Toby Kebbell plays Koba, the main villain of this movie. Now, Koba we met in the last movie. He is a bonobo who was abused by several people, not just the Jacobs at the science facility that they were working at in the first movie, but it's revealed in later tie-in materials that he was on TV, he was in a circus, he was owned by people who didn't really treat him too well. Which, fun fact for bonobos, they are one of the most friendly apes. So the fact that Koba is the way that he is really tells what kind of stuff he went through.
Yeah, shows that he's been through a lot, and because of that, we do see where he's coming from, and I mean, there is some sympathy with him, and I mean, it's like, I get it.
Koba has the scars to prove it on his body, and yeah, to a certain point, he's kind of correct in what he's doing, but also after a certain point, he just goes too far, and you really can't sympathize with him much anymore.
Yeah. Once he crosses that line, it's like, okay, yeah, he is a bad guy. So, sorry, Koba.
Nick Thurston plays Blue Eyes, Caesar's firstborn son, and I like the storyline that he's got going on, where he's trying to live up to his father's expectations, but he's not really listening to his dad. His dad is trying to teach him what he needs to know, but Blue Eyes just sees it as him bossing him around. But then Koba comes in, he's the cool uncle, and tells him, "Nah, it's fine, you're okay." It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he does have some, I don't know the word.
Resentment?
Maybe, yeah, some conflict within himself.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe, yeah. So, yeah, he's struggling, but he'll get there.
He comes around in the end.
Yeah.
Terry Notary once again plays Rocket, Caesar's friend from the Ape Sanctuary. He was, Ape Jail he was put in the first movie. Not much to say about him. It's just nice to see one of Caesar's friends from the old times again. Same thing with Maurice, played once again by Karen Carnival. He is a very friendly orangutan who used to be in a circus. So he was pretty smart to begin with before the ALZ-113 virus was given to him. And now he's basically Caesar's right-hand man, except for Koba.
Yeah, I really like him. And I think in the first movie, he knew sign language before getting the smart thing, So he was already pretty smart. And I like him a lot. I think he's a cool ape.
And finally, we have Judy Greer playing Cornelia, Caesar's wife. A very well-known character actress. It's always nice to see Judy Greer in things, even though we're not actually seeing her in this.
Yeah, she does play her, but we don't see her. We just see an ape.
No, we don't, but that's okay. So, what are your thoughts on Dawn?
It is very interesting. The story is pretty cool. I mean, it's a step up from the first movie. Things are more intense. The humans are dying off. There's less and less humans, and the apes are kind of, overpowering everything and starting to develop their own little community. And there's some, quite some strong feelings between the humans and the apes. But, yeah, it's an interesting plot.
Yeah, so basically, the humans are trying to return power to their community. There's this dam out in the forest that they want to try to restart. But it's an ape territory, so they have to go to Caesar and ask him if they can do it. Malcolm, he's a pretty nice guy and all, and he's pretty reasonable, trying to work with Caesar, and eventually they do that, but not without some conflict. There's the apes who want to just let the humans do their thing, and then they'll leave, which I'm pretty sure is what Malcolm and a lot of them are wanting to do. And then you have the ones like Koba who have been abused by humans who don't care. They want to do to the humans what have been done to them for years. And then on the human side of things, you have the ones who don't trust the apes too much, and then you have the ones who are trying to feel things out, to try to see maybe things can work out. It's really interesting to see these two groups try to wrestle with their with the conflict inside them concerning this problem.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of conflict. I'm trying to think what I would be if I was in that situation. I would, I think, try to work with the apes. I would want to be nice to the apes.
You're just saying that because you want to cuddle with Maurice, aren't you?
Yeah, Maurice and the baby. I don't know his name, but I'd cuddle with them both.
I'm pretty sure he got a name by the time war rolled around, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But yes.
Now, funny thing about this movie, I have a funny relationship with it.
Why?
Okay, so it was back in 2014. I was walking in a mall in Maryland, and someone asked me if I want to watch a trailer for a new movie coming out. I say, okay. They also said they were going to pay me a couple bucks, so why not? It ended up being a trailer for this movie.
How much money did you get?
Like $5.
Well, you just had to watch a trailer, probably give your opinion.
Yeah, they asked me if I wanted to, like what I wanted to see from it, what sort of things I'm looking forward to. Like, I think I remember saying that I was looking forward to seeing the continuation of Caesar's story and all that, and see what Gary Oldman's character ends up doing in this movie, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Very interesting. I've never had to do anything like that, so I think that's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I watched a few different versions of the trailer. One with not as finished CGI effects. One with more complete effects. Which, speaking of which, the effects in these movies are just getting better by the movie. In the first one, it's looking pretty clearly CGI. Like, yeah, of course they're not going to get actual apes on set, which thank God they're not. But like you could tell that these aren't really there. But in this one, they look a lot more real.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. That it looks really, really good. And I think it's pretty cool that you got to see trailers that weren't all the way finished. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really neat. And by the time we get to war, it almost makes you believe that they actually got apes to act in these movies.
Yeah, they look really realistic, and I think that's good. It really helps you be invested in the movie because, I mean, they look so real. It's really, really nice.
Okay. So original Rise director Rupert Wyatt, he walked away from this movie. I don't think it was on bad terms though. So we got Matt Reeves to direct this movie. Matt Reeves would of course later do War for the Planet of the Apes plus The Batman.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Other names considered after Rupert Wyatt dropped out were Guillermo del Toro and Rian Johnson.
Very interesting.
I would have loved to see a Guillermo del Toro Apes movie. That would have been cool.
Yeah, I wonder what that would have looked like.
Probably, but it would have been really weird, and Doug Jones would have played at least 3 or 4 apes.
Oh, yeah, probably.
I don't think I have anything more to say on this movie. What about you?
I think I'm good. It was it was a pretty interesting watch. I'd say it's worth your time.
Actually, what was your favorite part?
Oh, Well, it is hard to say, but the action scenes at the end, whenever Kobo's rising up and, attacking the humans, that gets pretty cool. even though it's kind of sad, but it's still pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I especially really like the scene where the other humans brought this tank in to try to fight the apes, and Koba rides his horse onto the over to it, and we get a continuous shot of from the perspective of the door, Koba getting in there, beating up the first guy, then getting in there, dragging the other guy back in as he tries to escape, and just beating him to death as he controls the tank to knock down the barricades of the fortress. That was really, really interesting camera work.
Yeah, it was a really long scene, and yeah, you talked about it a lot while we were watching it. So
Well, it was really cool.
No, I agree. It was cool.
And there's something interesting to be said about Koba and his tactics there.
Yeah.
Well, now what I mean by this is Koba is sending wave after wave of apes to attack this fortified fortress where these humans have the high ground. They have superior, they know how to use guns better than the apes do, and the Koba and his apes win basically just by rule of attrition. You throw that many bodies at the fortress, eventually you'll get in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the exact same tactics used by Joseph Stalin in World War II against the Germans. The Soviet Union outnumbered the Nazis in terms of manpower by a pretty wide margin. And during the war, the Soviet Union lost the most both troops and civilians out of any other country in the war. And you want to know something interesting?
Sure.
Stalin's nickname before World War I was Koba.
Ah, so they may have done that on purpose.
Yeah, most likely.
That is very interesting.
There's also something to be said that humanizes other characters. Because we don't get a whole lot with characters like Dreyfus or Maurice, but we get small moments with them that really make them seem more human than they probably would have if they were in any other movie.
Mm-hmm.
I use human lightly when it comes to Maurice, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
For instance, with Maurice, we see him have moments with Malcolm's son where they're reading together or just hanging out, and it really reminds you that no, not all of the apes want this war that's going to happen, but and some of them could be actually pretty peaceful.
Yeah. Yeah, very peaceful if you give them the chance, yeah.
And Dreyfus, after the power comes back on, we see him looking at an iPad full of pictures, some of him when he was in the army and others with a family that we don't see in this movie. So we're led to assume that they've died probably from the simian flu. And it's just a moment, but it really again humanizes him.
Yeah. Yep, you definitely get sympathy, and you do feel sorry, and you do see, his side of things.
Yeah, so for moments like that, the story in general with its with its two sides of conflict, and really other sort of amazing character work with characters like Caesar, Koba, and Malcolm. Yeah, this definitely is my favorite in the trilogy.
It is really good. I need to rewatch the last one before I say what's my favorite, but it is a good one.
So that will do it for us. Unless you have anything more to say?
Nope, I think I've said my piece.
Me too. So next week have War for the Planet of the Apes.
War
for the Planet of the Apes was the last film in the reboot Apes trilogy. Although I guess it's not the last movie anymore, and it's not really a trilogy anymore. It was the end of the trilogy that established the prequel world of the Planet of the Apes, I should say.
Yeah, or you could say original trilogy, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, just don't worry about it.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
So this movie takes place after the end of the last movie, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Of course, that's how sequels work.
Yes, that is very smart.
And once again, we have Andy Serkis back in his role as Caesar, the leader of the apes in this Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, the big leader.
Our new bad guy, and probably the best in the whole trilogy, and one of the most underrated villains in all of movie history, in my opinion. Woody Harrelson plays the Colonel, a leader of this rogue faction of army soldiers who is looking to, they're basically looking to continue the human race and kill off any apes or infected humans they can find so as to not damage the human race anymore.
Yeah, he's the big bad guy. Really mean, really scary. He does a good job.
We have some new characters coming in and some returners as well. Steve Zahn plays the Bad Ape, he's another talking ape who he got his intelligence when he was living in a zoo, or was it a circus?
It was a zoo.
It was a zoo, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't know any sign language or anything, but he does know how to talk, which is pretty impressive.
And going into this movie, you would think that this guy would be kind of a cringe attempt at comic relief, but no, he's not that at all. Well, he is comic relief, but he's not cringe. He's actually pretty funny, but he's also has a certain level of sadness to him too.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's funny. He's one of my favorite characters.
Karen Conneval returns as Maurice. Good old Maurice.
Yeah, Maurice is also one of my favorite characters.
Amaya Miller stars as Nova, a mute human who was infected by the simian flu, and as a result, she can no longer speak. And this, as we find out, happens to humans who survive the illness. They get this, then they lose the ability to talk, which in the Colonel's mind means they've lost their humanity, basically.
Yeah, but it seems like they're still sane and everything. It's just they don't know how to talk.
Yeah, basically. See, the ability to speak is something that, well, up until a certain point in these movies, humans were the only thing that could do that. And the fact that all the apes are being able to speak, and humans are losing the ability to, in the Colonel's mind, it's putting humans below the apes and raising the apes above us.
Yeah, the apes are moving forward and the humans are regressing.
Ty Olsson plays the Red Donkey. The donkeys are apes who have switched to the human side and are serving them. And his character was a pretty interesting one, given how when we first meet him, he really hates Caesar, and he is worried about is his own survival, which is why he joined the humans. The ones that joined the humans are apes that sided with Koba during his coup, but after that failed, and they're still hating Caesar, they've decided to join the humans, basically to prolong their own existence.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're conflicted characters.
This Red Donkey in particular gets sort of a character arc of his own. It's not really too focused on, but it's something we see in the background. We see him working with the humans, and eventually Caesar's words get to him, and he sees what the humans he's working for are willing to do to his fellow apes. So he switches sides at the last minute and redeems himself by saving Caesar's life at the cost of his own.
Yeah. So pretty cool character at the end.
Terry Notary returns as Rocket, Caesar's ride or die since the ape prison days.
Yeah. A good character as well.
He doesn't get a lot to do in this go around, but still, he's a decent enough character in his own right.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Michael Adamthwaite plays Luca, a gorilla um, ally of Caesar's. He's basically the head of the guards at their ape camp.
Hmm. Also pretty cool.
Toby Kebbell makes a few small appearances as Koba in Caesar's mind, which is interesting. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, not too big of a part.
Gabriel Chavaria plays a preacher, a interesting character in how he subverts expectations, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
And Judy Greer returns as Cornelia, Caesar's wife, for the one scene she's in. She doesn't get a lot before her and their son Blue Eyes die.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it helps move the plot forward.
So, in our last portion, I said that Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was my favorite of the Apes trilogy, but I wasn't sure when it came to War where that would stand, and I do now. Dawn is still my favorite, but War is very close behind.
Yeah, I could definitely see why. I'm still kind of conflicted with my favorite. It might be Dawn, but this one is still really good.
Yeah, it's some pretty interesting stuff all around, and overall, none of the movies in this trilogy are bad. They're all good in their own right. I say in their own right, like we haven't been talking about how much we like these movies.
Yeah.
But there's some pretty interesting things going on in this last movie in the trilogy. For one, so Caesar first starts seeing Koba after he accidentally murders another ape. Winter, he's a white gorilla, a vanilla gorilla, if you would.
Yeah, that's a very good alliteration. Well, not a real.
That's just rhyming.
Yeah.
A vanilla gorilla who betrays Caesar. He tells the colonel where the apes are hiding. This in turn leads to the colonel murdering Caesar's wife and oldest son. Now, after Caesar, Rocket, Luca, and Maurice spend some time tracking the soldiers, they come across a camp where Winter is. He's basically working as a. It seems like he's some sort of dishwasher, cook, or something. He's basically working for the humans.
Yeah, he's just working.
And one thing leads to another. When Winter tries to alert the soldiers, Caesar ends up accidentally murdering him. Now, this is significant because in the previous two movies, Caesar had a thing, ape not kill ape. Okay, he wants to imagine that he and the other apes are better than humans. Now, what do humans do? We kill each other. Quite frankly, a lot. In all honesty.
Yeah, it's awful, but it's a true fact.
So he wants to be better than us, and part of the reason why how he's going to do that is, well, they're not going to kill each other like we do. Now, he did kill Koba at the end of Dawn, but by that point he was a bit too dangerous to really be left unchecked to his own devices. So you got to do that. I feel like there weren't any apes who would have, outside of the ones who sided with Koba, there aren't any apes who would really be upset with Caesar for doing that.
Yeah, to kill Koba was more like for
the greater good.
Yeah, the greater good for his community and for the future of the apes.
And right before he even does it, he tells Koba that he isn't an ape anymore, since he had previously killed other apes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, there was no such justification with Winter. This was completely on accident, and this haunts Caesar the rest of the movie with his visions of Koba.
Yeah, you can tell that really does have a big effect on him. It really makes him rethink, I guess, everything he really stands for.
Because in Koba's eyes, if he can be as bad as Koba, then he could be as bad as people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if he can be sink that low, then any ape can. And at this point, what does it really matter what they're fighting for if they're not going to be as good, if they're not going to be any better than the people they're trying to, stop being like, the people that they're trying to rise up above.
Yeah, it creates quite a conundrum for Caesar.
Now, the Colonel is another interesting character here. He's, well, like I said, he's the best villain in the Apes trilogy, and this is including Koba, I would say.
I think so.
Now, granted, Koba is a very good villain. He has an understandable point of view, and you really, at a certain to a certain extent, you agree with him.
Yeah, he hates humans because they were terrible to him. And so, yeah, you get that. You understand that. And it's like, yeah, I can see where he's coming from.
However, with the Colonel, I feel like he's a bit more of an identifiable villain. He's the one who's clearly doing the wrong things, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking, would I really do anything different if I was in his position?
I think I would.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. He's just a very mean guy. But he does have his reasons as well.
He does, and we find out in a deleted scene that he actually killed Malcolm from Dawn.
How come I don't remember who that was?
He was the main human character.
Oh, yeah. I get it. Yep.
So the story goes that when the army came to San Francisco in order to wipe out all the apes, Malcolm was trying to tell them, "Oh, no! It was just this one ape, and he's dead now." And the colonel just shot him for that.
Oh, that's pretty mean.
Yeah, that's not really that's not in the movie though. So whether it's canon or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably still is though.
I don't know. That's kind of a difficult subject. But, I guess it's up to you. Up to the individual.
Okay, so the simian flu, at this point, like I've said, has evolved to the point where it takes away mankind's ability to speak. And this is a problem for the Colonel, again, because that, in his eyes, removes their humanity. So what good are they to him?
Yeah. It's a cruel thing, but yeah.
Now, he isn't unfair about this either, considering when his own son gets infected with this, he himself shoots his son.
Yeah, you can say that he is very fair with who he kills,
including himself when he later gets infected with this later on from the doll that Nova puts in Caesar's cage when she goes to basically help him get through the night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
he is a man who sticks to his principles, so you can't take that away from him.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. He definitely follows through with his ideas.
Now, there's also a very prominent Moses allegory with Caesar that I've noticed.
Yeah, it's basically Exodus.
But with apes.
Yeah, it is.
Basically, we see him trying to appeal to the Colonel's better nature to let his people go, so to speak.
Yeah, you can say that.
And then at the end, he dies as soon as they get to the Promised Land.
Yeah. Which, yeah, it's like Moses.
Speaking of Caesar dying, let's circle back to this other character, Preacher. At the start of the movie, he was part of an attack on where he thought the apes would be hiding Caesar, more or less. They were trying to find Caesar in order to kill him, more or less.
Basically, yeah.
And out of the few survivors from the soldiers attacking the apes, Preacher was one of the few left, and he's with his name and how he reacts to some of the Colonel's words and actions later on in the movie, you would think that maybe he would come around to the ape side to help them out. But no, that never happens. He actually stays on the human side and is the cause of Caesar's death, given he shoots him with one of his crossbow bolts.
Yeah, and there are hints that maybe this guy could turn good at the end, but no, he never does.
No, the way I see it, the Colonel's words, keep in mind, this is a very charismatic guy. He's still able to keep his men on his side. Why else would they be following him to this extent if he wasn't like this?
Yeah, that's true.
Now, speaking of, the Colonel and his soldiers are a rogue faction of the U.S. Army. They're off on their own, doing their own thing. And we have another group, presumably the main army, coming down to stop them because they don't like what they're doing. This inevitably leads to basically all of them dying, given how the main army coming down to attack them leads to Caesar causing a chain reaction that would cause an avalanche that would bury all of them. So even in our last moments, humanity is gonna kill itself.
Yeah, and what's interesting is you can also compare that avalanche to like Moses parting the sea and then washing away the Pharaoh's people.
That's a good point. I haven't thought about that.
I think there's a similarity there.
I bet you're right.
I'm smart.
So essentially, there is a war for the planet of the apes, but it's not necessarily fought between humanity and the apes. It is, but it isn't also, because I feel like for the most part these people are the soldiers that the Colonel has are building a wall in order to keep the other humans out, and they're using the apes to do it. So the way I see it, the Colonel is fighting this war on two fronts here.
Yeah, it's like war among the people.
His main focus is trying to keep these other people out so that he can keep his thing going, so that he can eventually kill more apes, And he's not outright killing all the apes because he needs them for slave labor.
Yeah. So it's more like, I don't really know what that would be. But yeah, there's just fighting and conflict going on all sides.
There isn't much of what could have been from this movie, actually. Seems like most of the ideas ended up in the final product.
Oh, well, that's pretty interesting.
Okay, so the actor who plays the Red Donkey, which Matt Reeves has confirmed, the director Matt Reeves of this movie has confirmed that is a Donkey Kong reference.
Nice.
He actually appeared in the first movie, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, as a police chief, although he looks very different in this movie.
Oh yeah, much different.
So, do you have anything more to say on this movie? I feel like we covered most of the main bases.
Yeah, I like this movie. I think it was a good ending to the trilogy, but now there's another one.
Well,
so.
It's a good end to Caesar's story.
Yes, you're right. It's a good ending to Caesar's story.
It was. Now, if you had to rank these movies, how would you put them? Let's say least favorite to favorite.
Maybe least favorite to favorite. Maybe. Maybe Rise, then Dawn. No, Rise than more than Dawn.
Yeah, that would be mine too. But for me, War and Dawn are kind of neck and neck. At some points, I like one more than the other. Which, there's one thing that we forgot to mention about this movie.
What's that?
The CGI for these apes is absolutely incredible.
Oh yeah, I agree. They look like real animals.
Yeah, there's a few moments here and there where it looks a bit off, but for the most part, I would believe that these are real apes.
Yeah, the CGI really is really good. It really helps you be, really you can immerse yourself in the story whenever the apes look that good. You can totally believe that those are real apes on screen.
Yeah, we've come a long way from the obvious CGI of Rise to the really good CGI in Dawn to the pretty much photorealistic CGI in War. And from what we've seen of the footage from Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, this trend just keeps on going.
Yeah. We'll have to see for ourselves whenever we go watch it, whenever that is.
That comes out next week.
Oh, okay.
We'll see if we'll be able to do it next week, but
Got a busy week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know when this video is going up. It could be next week. We're recording this while we're in the middle of doing our Star Wars videos, so who knows?
Yeah, we'll get to it soon.
We'll get to it when we get to it.
Yes, we will.
Amongst other things that we are going to do this year, try to do this year, we have some things that we're probably not going to get to because we've already changed our minds on covering the Anchorman movies because we just didn't have anything to say on them.
Yeah, we watched them. I liked them. I laughed, but
there's not a whole lot to really analyze with that. It's just they're funny. The second one is a little less funny, but still pretty funny.
Yeah, I like them. I like those movies.
Anyways, unless you have anything more to say on War.
I don't think so. I think I'm good.
All right, now, from this whole trilogy, who would you say is your favorite character?
Oh, I have a soft spot for Maurice, the big orangutan.
Yeah, you're just an orangutan gal.
He's big, he's nice, he's cuddly. He's more of the wise character. The character who's there to help Caesar in his difficult times.
Well, orangutans have that reputation. They have that sort of general vibe and air about them.
I like him, yeah.
I really like Caesar. I feel like his character arc was really well done. We see him go from someone who doesn't really think he's an ape to someone who realizes that he is one and learns to be proud of the fact that he's an ape, in addition to starting a movement, leading his people. I say people.
Ape people.
Learning that maybe they aren't that different from the humans, which, yeah, the chimps are pretty similar to us, DNA speaking.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
And realizing that, yeah, maybe we are alike, but still got to save my people.
Yep.
So that will do it for this Apes trilogy. It's one of my favorite movie trilogies of all time.
Yeah, it's a good one. I remember when you made me watch it for the first time, and I liked it more than what I thought. So
made you watch them?
Well, you know how you are.
Anyways, that'll do it for us for today. We'll catch you next time.
See you next time.